So buying your first Foxbody in 2025, there's a lot of things that I look for, and I want to share that with you. How to know if whatever flaw there is, if that's going to be a deal breaker or not. So you're on Marketplace, you see that Foxbody you want to buy, and how do you know if it's going to be a good deal or not? Do not get emotionally attached to the car, because let me tell you, Ford made millions of Foxbodies, millions. There is 100% a better candidate out there for you. Just try not to justify, all the work that it actually needs just because it has one thing that you really like. The oldest Foxbody you could buy right now, they started in 1979. So that's like 45, 46 years old at this point. So these cars are pretty much classic or entering the classic car territory. So we all have a different definition of what a project car is, depending on what our dream is and what we want to do with the car. But for me, I look for rollers. Simply put, buying a roller is like looking at an x-ray. You know if you got good bones or not, and that is really important. Ultimately, buying a roller is awesome is because if you're gonna do like a ground up build, everything's already apart, so half the work's done. All the disassembly process is done. And to my first point when looking at a Foxbody, if it has any rust, walk away. I know out here in Florida, I've learned this in my past year just living here, there's a lot of rust issues with these cars. I know from up north, that's where I'm originally from in Pennsylvania, it is rust city up there. Like, not even a joke. I probably wouldn't even consider buying a car in Pennsylvania because I guarantee you it probably has rust and I don't even want to deal with it. If you have never done body work, metal work, welding, believe me, you do not want to be doing that, especially if it's your first project. Now, the owner might say it's just surface rust. The owner might not even be aware of the rust. So this is why it's important that you need to look at these areas that I'm about to tell you. And this is why it's also important that you buy a roller, because if the carpet's out of the car, then you can see if there's rust on the floor pan. If the engine's out, you can really see the frame rails, the shock towers. You can see if there's rust in there. I literally just made this mistake. I bought my first Foxbody in Florida. If you haven't checked out that video, I'll leave the link there. I even looked at the floor pan. Granted, it was from under the car on the floor, and I was looking up there and I didn't see anything. But it turned out when a few months later, I pulled up the carpet and there was rust through the pan. It was just barely through, but there's holes in the pan, and I ended up replacing it. But it was an experience for me. Coming from California, there's a lot of nice cars out in California. They don't get the rust like they do on the East Coast. Whether you're north or south, it rusts all up and down. Just be 100% sure you got no rust in that floor pan. If you don't mind doing a floor pan, all the power to you. But it's a hell of a job and it takes a long time to do. You can also look inside the cowl. I know it can rust in there. I've personally never seen a car that's real bad under the cowl, but it's a good place to look. That's why I like buying a roller. I like starting from a clean slate, a good bone car that I know I have a solid foundation and I can build something reliable on top. Long story short, if it's got rust, I'm walking away. Between the fender and the door, there's a gap. And if that gap is bigger, smaller, not smooth, like if you run your finger across it and there's a step to it, that'll usually indicate that there's maybe a minor fender bender, accident, or it's been off before, work has been done to the car, or it just simply has a lot of miles. So if you really want to know if it's been an accident, man, I see posts all the time on Marketplace, straight car, no accidents, and then I look at the fender aprons on the inner side of the fender and they're all cracked and crinkled up, and that is a dead giveaway that it's been in an accident. I'll show you an example right here. Next thing you can look at is the core support. A lot of times people like to jack up the car from the core support and it'll end up bending it, you know, to a T. Kind of a pet peeve of mine. When I see that, I'm kind of like, it's not so much a deal breaker, but it's just like, it's just annoying, you know, because the rest of the car could be beautiful, and then I see that, I'm like, man. So that's something you got to make a decision on. They do make replacement core supports, but then again, if you don't want to do body work, you don't want to be welded, you know, you got to make that decision for yourself. And check out the pinch welds. That'll pretty much tell you if the car has been jacked up a bunch of times. You'll see that they're bent or just not straight anymore. So that'll indicate that the car has been worked on a ton. With the pinch welds, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's kind of a indent in this floor here. Like somebody dropped this on something. Under here there's a big bulge. And the pinch welds, guys, don't use the pinch welds. Don't jack up your car on the pinch welds. I mean, this thing has been worked on in somebody's driveway, and you can just see all the marks on that frame rail. You can also tell if it has all original body panels. There should be a VIN tag sticker on each panel. Now, it may be hard to tell because the VIN number might be missing, but if they were all there, or at least a few are there, and you can match the VIN numbers on those body panels to the VIN number on the car, then that'll tell you if you have original body panels, whether, you know, one was replaced or not. Like I had mentioned, these cars are entering classic car territory. They are old. They have seen many owners. They have been built, raced, broken, repeat over and over again. But you're gonna wanna look at the torque boxes. And I'm gonna put in a clip right here of what a bad torque box looks like. That's crazy. And as you can see in that video, that was pretty bad. I've actually drove the car before I found out about the torque boxes, and that thing was all over the road. It was so inconsistent. You didn't know where you were, and that's like the biggest safety issue ever. So go under there, take a look at the torque boxes, look for cracks, broken welds. There's also torque boxes for the upper control arms where they bolt to the body. Look at those as well. That'll tell you if this car was beat on, drag raced, you know, just abused. Those torque boxes will be damaged. And if you're looking for a 2.3 liter, go buy one of those, because a 2.3 liter, I don't even know if it has 100 horsepower, but there is no way you could beat on or break a torque box with a stock 2.3 liter. And if you're looking for a project, that's just something that you can rip out, and you know that you got good torque boxes without even looking at them. But another thing we need to talk about, most likely you're gonna need a paint job. It may be faded, it may be completely gone, but just be prepared to pay for a paint job. If you don't care how it looks, even better. If you know how to paint cars, even better. For me, I hate doing body work. I just don't have the patience for it. I don't like doing that kind of work. I will rip apart an engine, transmission, do a whole suspension all day long. Body work, no thank you. Not only should you not trust the seller, but don't trust the pictures alone. I would never buy a car unless I put my hands on it and seen it in person. It's never good to just take the seller's word for it. Whether they're being genuine or they're trying to just dump it on you, there could be other underlying issues that they aren't even aware of. So it's best that you go in person, put your hands on it, look at it with your eyes, do all your checks, and then you'll know if it's a project you want to take on. The seller is going to try to sell you the car. So they're obviously going to point out all the good things and probably not all the bad, but usually there's some things that are hiding. So it's really important that you go and do all these checks. And last point I want to make, guys, but not the least point, is just walk away. It may have, the wheels you want, it may have, the motor you want, it may have the right interior you want, but it has rust here or has a broken torque box. And you got to kind of weigh these options and see if it's going to be worth your time. Whatever you want to do. Everyone has different plans with what they want to do with their cars. So you really got to just evaluate everything and come to a decision. You just don't want to end up buying a project car with a rusted floor pan that you don't end up doing, because that's going to kill all your momentum with the car. You're going to want to do all these things, but having to fix that one issue will really put a stop to making progress on your project car. Well, I think that covers most of it, guys. If I missed anything or you guys have something you want to mention, drop a comment. I would like to offer a service as well. If you guys are looking to purchase a Foxbody and you have no idea what you're getting into, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to look over the car for you and just kind of point out some things to look at when you go to look at the car. And I just want to help you, point you in the right direction and get you in the game and started on your first Foxbody project. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.